OMG.
One of our
The
biologists will be
penguins are being
taking down
fed.
and
This is so
reporting
cool.
which
Can you
penguins are
believe it,
eating,
Royal
how much
Kitten?
they're eating, and what kinds of fish that they're consuming as well. And then our other biologists, right, will actually get more familiar and up close with these penguins as they start to document, or as they start to, actually hand out that food, whether that's doing a direct hand-to-bill contact, or whether that's maybe
I'm at Academy of Sciences.
throwing out the fish and seeing if they can catch them, or maybe you can chase after them in the water.
And it's so cute.
So there's all these different kinds of
You know that
penguin
because you watch?
personalities and preferences that tend to
So
pop
cool.
up during these feeds. And the 3 p.m. feed is pretty special because usually that's when our biologists will throw on a wetsuit, like you see Adriana is in. And then when they have that one, right, they get to step deeper into the water. As you see, these penguins start to bounce up in a lot of what seems to be excitement for their
Flying
food.
under the water.
So these penguins are African penguins, and they live in these environments that kind of look like these beaches and shores. And so their natural ranges are
The
along those beaches
penguins
and shores of
have a
South
living
Africa.
sofa approach.
Now this might be different from maybe what you're used to.
So feeding time.
Like in terms of what you imagine where penguins might live, if you've ever seen penguins on television, or you've seen
Just like
them at
so
other
good.
aquariums and zoos and seen how they've been themed out there. When you think about where penguins live, do you usually think of beaches and shores, or do you think of something else?
Think of ice.
Think of ice. Yeah. Do people usually tend to think of those colder environments? Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing some like nods. So these waters are definitely cool, but they're more like the cool kind of waters you'd expect off the beaches of Los Angeles if you wanted to, kind of get a gauge of how cold they are. But they're not that icy cold, right? So when you look at all of where they're living, you'll notice that some of it has that terrestrial environment in the back. Some of it has that aquatic environment, much lower. So every one of these penguins, every feeding, they're eating somewhere between about 2 to 10 fish. And since there's 2 feedings, that's about up to 4 to 20
They
fish.
will have the same day.
So all of that nutrition, right, and all that energy helps drive this very active lifestyle. So if you see those caves in the back, does everyone see those caves? Yeah, so those caves right there are those nesting boxes. They'll need energy to defend their territory there, where all those mating partners will go pair up and rest. But they also need all that energy to swim and dive as effectively as you see right now, after all of the fish they can get. Now these penguins can hold their breath, upwards somewhere between like 3 to 5-ish minutes, but they usually only need it for just a couple in order to catch most of the fish that they do. They can dive down to about 200 feet, but once again, they're hovering around usually about 60 feet deep in order to catch, all of their prey. Now to catch all of this prey effectively, sometimes it helps to have a little bit of camouflage. So if we look at these penguins here, right, you might notice that they have these black and white feathers, but on the front, which feathers do you see more, the white or the black? Yeah, I'm hearing white. And on the back, you'll see more of those darker feathers, right? So if you were something that was swimming in the ocean and you were underneath the penguin and you look up, you'll see all those white feathers. And it might look kind of like this, like bright lights coming down from the sun, or maybe something like the clouds. So this will allow some better camouflage underneath. But if you're swimming above the penguin and you see these dark feathers instead, this dark back might look like the dark ocean floor. So they have camouflage in both directions, and it's something called countershading. Now you might notice that other animals in the ocean also have countershading. What other animals do you think might have this same kind of coloration in the ocean? Yeah? Sharks. You said sharks? Yes. So there are definitely sharks that have this kind of coloration. What about other animals? Yeah? Is that what we're talking? Orcas, yes. Orcas, right? Killer whales. So they have the same coloration as well. So there's birds that have this. There's mammals with the orcas, and there's fish like the sharks. So there's many different kinds of animals and different kinds of vertebrate classes that have found very successful strategies to sneak up on their prey and to avoid predators very effectively, just using those darker colors on the top, and then those brighter colors underneath. Now you might notice with all these penguins that they have these bands on their wings, right? So those right wings bands, those are the males. The left wings are the females, and if they're matching colors, those are the mating partners. And so those mating partners, right, they would, get together, they lay eggs and hatch them. They also have to feed their young. Now, our penguins are getting fed right now by Adriana and Kelsey, so let's go ahead and ask Adriana, what are you feeding these penguins right now?
Well, I have two kinds of fish. I have this larger one, which is herring. This one is higher in fat. And I have the smaller one, which is capelet, and that is higher in protein.
Okay, wow, that sounds really, really nutritious and very, very yummy. But is this what we would expect these penguins to eat in their natural range?
No, it is not. In their natural habitat, they would be eating sardines and anchovies. However, humans also really like sardines and anchovies, so as a result, those fish are highly overfished, and that is a huge contributor to African penguins' endangered status.
Yeah, so what Adriana just mentioned there, that's a huge problem that these penguins are facing is overfishing. When we take out too much of those anchovies and sardines from the waters, then those fish can't reproduce and repopulate back to healthier population sizes and numbers. And when there's not enough fish to go around, then there's a food shortage for these penguins, and it's a big problem and reason as to why they're critically endangered today. So Adriana, what is the Academy doing right now in order to support these birds?
So we work with the SSP, which stands for Species Survival Plan, and the goal of that is to help maintain a healthy population. And so we work with facilities across the country to train penguins and to hopefully produce some healthy chicks. We also work with an organization called SANCAL in South Africa. They are a coastal bird rescue, and they work with penguins and other coastal birds that have been orphaned or affected by oil spills. We send biologists there as often as we can. We have a couple going in a couple weeks, and we also send them money and as well as supplies.
Yes, so everything that Adriana just mentioned right there, that's really a huge part of our new mission here at the Academy. When we're working together with rescue organizations like SANCOP, and that supports our mission, which is to regenerate the natural world through science, learning, and collaboration. We're all deeply connected to everybody that lives on this planet, but also just all of the living things that live on this planet, right? We can see some of these connections, as earlier indicated, by that overlap of interest in seafood. So the great thing about all of these connections that run so deep is that the natural world can actually heal itself and recover, provided that we all play our part. Now there are some great ways to basically, get involved and be able to work together. When we do, right, when we work together with this planet, we can regenerate these ecosystems. We can empower all of the communities that tackle all these problems, and on top of that, we can also strengthen the web of life that we all depend upon. But it does require your help. Some of the simplest ways to help is to donate to the Penguin Fund, which helps support all of these efforts. So Adriana, if our folks here wanted to make a contribution to the Penguin Fund, where could they go?
Well, we have our penny crusher just over there next to the gift shop. As well, you can round up into the nearest dollar in the gift shop, and that all contributes to our Penguin Fund here at the Academy.
Yes, so making those contributions to the Penguin Fund is very, very important to support those efforts. And another great way to help, if you'd like, is if after the show you want to pick up one of these. What I have in my hand is a seafood watch card. I have a card full of them here. These seafood watch cards are something introduced by Monterey Bay Aquarium that basically tells you what kinds of seafood are sustainably caught and which ones you should avoid because they are not sustainably caught. So with this kind of information, you'll be allowed to make the kinds of responsible decisions that are going to support all of these solutions so that these ways, these penguin populations can recover to something much more healthy. And that would obviously allow them to lay more eggs and to hatch them more successfully. So, Adriana, do we ever have any penguins that hatch here in the Academy out of eggs?
Sometimes we do. Our most recent one is Stanley. She's currently in her nest box. She's about 4 years old now. And we have a couple others as well.
Yes. So we have awesome penguins that are hatched in the academy. Sometimes we get penguins from other aquariums and zoos because we'll do some genetic matchmaking in order to make sure every penguin, right, is getting some healthy copies of these genes. So that way, better genetic diversity allows for better population visibility. Now what I want to do is open up the floor for the next several minutes just to see if there's anybody who had questions that they would like to ask Adriana. If you have a question, go ahead and shoot up your hand and I'll call on you when you're ready. But if you need some time to think, feel free to. Oh, hi.
So I was here 2 weeks ago and there was a penguin who was molting. Which one is it now?
Okay. Ooh, okay, so we had a guest that was here 2 weeks ago and they noticed that there was a penguin that was molting. Are there any penguins that are still molting? And if not, which one was molting?
We have a couple that have been going through molts recently. They're all mostly finished. We have Tux right here, and Dunker and Ty. They're in their nest boxes at the moment. And so they're just finishing up their molts. They're just about done. Penguins go through what's called a catastrophic molt. Instead of like other birds dropping a couple feathers at once, they'll drop all of them at one time because they need those feathers to keep themselves waterproof when diving for food. So it makes more evolutionary sense that they can I lost my train of thought.
As you can see, our penguins
Right,
can
yeah,
get
so well.
very, very up and close and personal with some of our biologists and sometimes tug on them with their bills and get kind of playful. But basically, yes, they are very well adapted to handle these waters with
Okay,
some
now,
waterproof feathers, but
I'm
they do have
going
to
to
go
take
all
the
at
rest of
once
this
and avoid the water during those
Bye,
catastrophic
residents.
moments.
Don't forget
We have a
to
question?
like and subscribe.